Now, have you ever? Do you know anybody that's done ayahuasca?
No, I actually know people that have done DMT, but
Okay.
I think it's like, but also
I would do
I'm
DMT.
I've already gotten. I wouldn't do that because again, I'm prone to the mental. So
Yeah.
I don't go. I'm not gonna do anything that intense because I don't want to.
I feel like I'm a
trash.
hypochondriac. I'm like, yeah, I probably have that shit too, because I feel like a psychopath. You know? But I feel like everybody talks to himself. You know what I mean? Like the main person I talk to is me, like out loud, just crazy.
I do that too, but it's like
I threaten to fight myself once a day.
well, that's that's probably something there. You should probably talk to somebody about. That's a little weird. But like it's a little bizarre. But like it's just honestly the biggest read on that is if you're still.
So, life insurance, most people don't know, because I always tell people, it's like, everything's technically a fucking pyramid. There's a CEO, there's an owner of everything, you know what I mean?
It seems like such a rationalization.
That's the rebuttal everybody says.
This is what like Bernie Madoff would say in his jail story. He's like, well, everything's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, everybody kind of does. But when you break it down and look at it, it's like, ours is just the best pyramid scheme. I guess I should say that. You know what I mean? Because
just what every pyramid. I really feel like I'm in the middle. I feel like the FBI is gonna knock down these doors any second here.
No, they came last month. But
yeah.
no. So with insurance, I think you have to get a license to sell insurance, and you have to renew it annually and things like that.
Okay.
There's a legal department that's associated with insurance as well, the Department of Insurance, and there's a national legal department to the extent of the national organization, which you wouldn't fucking know or care. But
I have life insurance.
It's all so life insurance. It's pretty legit, but it's hard as fuck.
It's just this place is so interesting because it's Saturday. I walk in. There's just 10 people that look like they sell steroids at Lifetime Fitness. And I'm like, what the fuck is this place?
Yes.
You have a dope podcast studio in the middle of an office.
Yeah,
so I was like,
3 of them do. So not all 10, but but with insurance, it is. It's culty. It's
well, sales in general is very. It's a very alpha bro kind of thing.
What I don't like about sales is everybody's insane about their thing. You know what I mean? What it is, like vacuums, and whatever it is, they're so. It's good to be that bought in where you have such a level of passion where it's like you'll argue, fight, kill your grandmother over like them disrespecting your product or your company. You're like, Grandma, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
But I like more of the open-mindedness. I fucking love movies, so I'm more of like the Star Wars, like the Force. You know what I mean? Like the positive side.
Well, I think a lot of it's like they tell. That's why a lot of comedians do sales because it's generally like if you're a good hang, like if someone just likes your energy, they'll probably be like, well, he seems like a good guy. I'll buy what he's selling.
Yeah. So
it's like if you're kind of charismatic, honest person. But see, I don't want to get a sales during the day because it's so fucking intense.
It is.
Like it says, you guys here on a Saturday. I'm like, I already put so much time and effort into comedy, selling myself. Yeah. That I'm like, I want my day job to be kind of chill. I don't want it to be like.
What is your day job?
I work at a startup like Provi.
Oh, okay, cool. Is it tech related?
Yeah, it's like they help bars order alcohol.
Oh, okay. Like through apps?
Basically like so bars they can't just buy booze from like Corona, right? Like they have to go through like a distributor, and distributors are only with certain brands. So some bars might have to call like 15 different sales reps. Yeah. To like get their inventory.
To find the alcohol.
So this is just sort of like
a middleman.
You get it all. Yeah, you get it all at once. I just put the photos up.
So you do the pictures.
Shit. Yeah.
So how long have you guys been around?
You say you guys a lot. I just work there during the day. I'm not. Yeah.
So how long's the startup been around?
It was like 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme.
No. It's a lot less sketchy than this, Linta. It's real. It's not a Saturday. We don't have podcast studios going on. It's not just a bunch of. It felt like I walked into like a TikTok hype house, dude. When I walked in, I literally was like, "What's going on?"
I would love to see one of those. This is probably.
This is what it looks like. As if you are living in one. There's just a bunch of like. I worked out a little bit. I just walked in here. I felt like, oh, I'm not even a man compared to these guys. Everybody here. Your producer's voice, he sounds like fucking the Terminator. He's got his voice.
He's got something fucked up with. I don't know. I've known him for
I don't
about
know
a
what's
year
going
now.
on, dude. He's like, it's right over here. I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like, have my balls dropped yet? Why the fuck do I feel like I sound like I'm inhaling helium compared to you people?
Yeah, no, he's nuts. He's
you got
nuts.
this dope ass. You got the Scarface. I walk in, I'm like, this is an intense podcast, dude.
Nope. Yeah. If we pulled up the floorboards in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's some shit going on.
Dope. I was listening to some of your podcasts you did I don't know if it was called Doing Time.
Doing Time, yeah.
Right? So that was cool to learn a little bit about your history. I only got like 20 minutes into it.
Yeah, so you didn't like it?
No, I did. I was just,
no, just fuck it. You're like, yeah, it's cool to learn a little bit. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm good.
I was getting into it, and I was like, there's a little bit of relatability there. Both my parents were in jail,
yes.
but not mental jail, regular jail.
We're just regular criminals.
Yes.
They're not crazy. They just wanted money.
But my ex, my best friend, had bipolar, and he killed himself.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Thank you. And it was my ex's brother. You know what I mean? It was like my best friend, ex's brother, and it was just nuts to like see like manic episodes and things like that. Cause
the most terrifying things I think a person can see.
To experience and not know what to do, and then I don't know if it was like preceding genetic things because their mom had taken her life from the same.
Yeah, it's usually pretty. I mean, it's like always your environment too, but it's not to cut you off.
Like they can't like he couldn't smoke, and that was his issue. He would smoke, and it would like activate.
Smoke weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like for people that
Different
are prone to like psychosis and stuff like that, it's really not a good idea to be smoking weed when you're a teenager. Yeah. No one told me that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was doing a shitload of drugs, and then later, now I feel like I'm good. Like I pressure tested my sanity.
Yes.
Because I tripped a bunch, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't hear voices.
Yes.
So I think I'm in the clear.
Yeah. Well, it was always like weird to me because like especially coming up in because it's been a newer thing for me. I'd say for the last five years because I mean relating to people where I think myself just experiencing the trauma that I did as a kid, it's different. Everybody's entitled to their own pains and things like that. You know what I mean? But
I think people talk about it way more than even when I was like the brief time in my short life. It's changed a lot. I feel like where now people talk a lot
more open-minded,
a lot more about that than like people. Before you just be like, "Oh, that happened to me," and you just keep it quiet. And if you don't heal yourself, it's also those cycles, they keep going because then you're gonna bring that hurt. You're gonna have like dysfunctional relationships, and that's just gonna fuck you up, and then you'll probably have kids and fuck that. So it's just this endless. If you're like born in trauma, it's so because that's what you know. It's like you kind of have to break the cycle. Yeah, you know, through like getting like kind of healing yourself. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, and I was listening to your story, and I was like, just thinking to myself, I was like, I'm a big advocate on like. I think everybody's a big advocate on mental health. Like mental,
no one's like pro. You should be insane. You know, it's like let them die in the street.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm really big on like more of the like. I think for me, it's like I'm not ever going to be smart enough to develop any type of medicines.
I can't cure. That's same here. I'm like I'd love to come up with a cure, but
I think there's passion for me in like just making more money and having more success of like. Being able to fund different projects and ideas. I'm more of the proactive type of guy though. Like I don't like to like. Let's just put needles in them. I'm more of the like, what can we eat or
for sure. I mean, there's also stuff in like investing in like communities and more like it should be like therapy shouldn't be a luxury item, and it is. Yeah. Like it's almost like you're bragging. If you're in therapy, I'm like, oh sweet, bro, you got a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's like talking about having a Ferrari. Yeah. Because it's like I went through some. Difficult times in my early 20s or whatever, and everyone's like, get help, and I'm like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot, and even the free ones are usually really terrible. Yeah. It's like a public defender almost. Like, so it's just sort of, there's such a, like,
you almost feel bad for them. You're like talking. And
because it's like they are just someone with a good heart that got a degree that are like so overswamped with hearing like horror stories. Yeah. And it's like, they just, like you said, put needles in them. A lot of the times it's like, especially if you're like broke and destitute, like the system is just programmed to only care about the most extreme cases. They'll be like, do you want to kill yourself? Do you want to kill someone else? You'd be like, well, no. And they'll just be like, well, fuck off then. You know what I mean? They're like, well, go to work. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm depressed. I'm addicted to Xanax. So like, well, one of the two, buddy. Yeah. And then even then, you're going to be like a place for like a week. They'll just put you in for like a week, and then they'll like drug you up, and then they'll kick you out.
See, and my big concern is like, what are the long-term effects of the drugs?
Well, it depends. It depends on I think if you are bipolar or schizophrenic, I mean, you do need to be on. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
That changed my mind. So being in the sales industry for fucking 5-6 years, it's real big on like I'm huge on affirmations and positive thinking and things. But that's like 40% of it. 60% of it is fucking going to work and like actually doing physical things consistently long enough to get the results that you want. It's like, for sure. You could be like, I'm gonna be the next Kevin Hart. And just say it like 14 times a day. And it's like, if you don't go do shows,
you need to have those affirmations to motivate yourself to do those.
But
things.
I used to think before, like, one, loving somebody who experienced mental health, and then building a phenomenal relationship with somebody that had struggled with it. I used to think like people with mental health, like severity was just like they're not thinking right. They're not telling them. They're not affirming it. And then I saw like manic episodes.
Affirmations can't help that. A manic episode can't be solved by meditating.
I was like, this dude is literally talking to the clouds.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, stuff like that. It's like it's like if you were having a heart attack or something. That's just a physical problem. Yeah, that's just the chemicals in their brain.
Literally, and I'm like,
and that also gives humility for everybody, where everyone's like, I'm a strong person, I can do this. It's like you are just a chemistry set. Yeah. If someone just adjusts you and I's dopamine level or whatever, we're in the street talking to nobody.
Yeah.
That's just you with like, that's just like a misfire in their brain.
Yep.
So I do think like, people who are that severely mentally ill, they pretty much do have to be medicated. Like lower minor depression, anxiety, you could treat that through like exercise and better diets and shit like that. But like, and that all helps, but like you do need to, like the manic episode, like they have to be on something because their life is, they can't function.
Yeah.
They won't. That's why a lot of people end up on the street.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, it always offends me a little when people are like, oh, like these crazy people. And I'm like, that's like a societal failing. That person's just talking to themselves on the street.
And it's kind of like with your story. It's kind of like it's somebody's dad, it's somebody's sister, it's somebody's.
That's
for me,
a human being, and the only reason that other people don't end up in the street is they have family or something.
Yeah.
That's helping them. But oftentimes in these stories,
that's a full-time job and a half.
Oftentimes in these stories, usually it's like they give up, or they stop talking to them, or they, like because it's usually it's the wealth thing. That's the only thing that's going to keep someone like that off the fucking street. So usually that person's like every single person in their life is like giving up on them.
Yeah. It's draining.
Yeah, it's draining. Really, it takes a lot.
What about, so like for you, like growing up, you know what I mean? Just, I know you recently did the podcast and.
That was a couple years ago.
That was
probably 3 years ago. But
how old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, okay, cool. You're young. Yeah. So, where did you grew up in Chicago though?
No.
North Carolina?
I grew up in North Carolina, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, what was growing up for you like then?
You have the look of fear in your eyes. Well, no. Wasn't ideal, right? And so like I would say like early elementary, like relatively sort of decent. Like it already started not great. So
what part of North Carolina? I've been to Topsail Island.
That's like, so I grew up near Raleigh.
Okay.
So yeah, so I have like a very interesting family dynamic. Yeah, but so my mom's deaf and she's from El Salvador, and my dad, like, he was sort of eccentric, but like probably later. It was probably like in his 40s that he had like psychotic break and like developed schizophrenia. But I, even early on in my life,
was there something in hit? Have you done like research and like thought like what caused this? Like, did he go through some type of trauma growing up, or like?
No, I think it's just genetic. Like, he has like a cousin who's so mentally ill that he can't work. I think it's just genetic, and he had like and a lot of times in these cases, everyone would be like, "Oh, he was so normal until," but then if you look at their life, there was always signs. Like, example, in his 20s, he took like a random trip to Africa, no reservations. No luggage. He just got on a plane and like went to Africa, and I'm like, that's like not a normal. That's a very
so sick though. That's dope as fuck.
But that's like about that though.
Yeah,
that's like a little. That's very crazy thing to do. If I just got on a plane and went to Nigeria right now, no plans whatsoever. That's almost dangerous. No, you know what I mean? Like he like flew there, and some family that he like met on the plane was like, "Yeah, you can stay with us because you're gonna, like you have literally no plans." And it's like, I know the 20-year-old in you thinks it, but like, think about that's kind of mentally. That's a sign that you're a little wonky. You know? And but yeah, so off the gate. So because I was born in San Francisco, and my mom's deaf, so she uses sign language.
Okay,
my extended family.
It?
Yeah, I know sign language. That's how I talk to my mom.
Okay,
and then so I do that, and then Spanish for my other family, but then we moved to Raleigh.
What nationality is your dad?
He's just white. He's from Wisconsin, yeah.
Okay.
And then
he's Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's whatever, mayonnaise or whatever. But it's just like, so we moved to Raleigh, and because like I was exposed to these other languages, not English as much, my reading level wasn't on point. But these schools in North Carolina didn't think about that. They're just like, oh, you're stupid. So I got held back in first grade. And that first till fifth grade, I was taken to the special ed room with like for reading or whatever, but it had like kids who were like autistic, like drooling on themselves. And I'd be in there and I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Nobody's telling. I feel like I'm a relatively normal kid, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just that definitely fucked up the self-esteem. And then around like 5th grade, my dad basically started acting like just more stranger and stranger, where he would basically be like, think that people were following him home. He would think that, you know, that like his coworkers were like conspiring against him, that they're poisoning his car. Like he started sleeping like near the door with a knife under his pillow, thinking someone's gonna like fuck with his car.
I've done that, but not because I thought someone. I was just like, so my dad would get really fucking drunk and come home and just start beating the shit out of everybody.
Well, see, that's like a legitimate threat, right?
Yeah,
you weren't just in the suburbs. Yes. Everything's fine, and then literally like thinking that your coworker Sally is gonna come fuck up your car.
Yeah.
So he put like, you know, the 3 locks on the door, lock on the thing, and he started like just thinking that everything was like some part of some conspiracy, like someone's against him, like about literally everything. Like example, there was a spider in the house.
Yeah. Did you put this here? That's what he said.
Yeah. So that's what he asked me if I put a spider. Yeah. And that's like a clear insight to like how like imagine I have like terrariums of spiders that I'm just using to fuck with. Like that's just what your brain, like it's like there's you almost have to admire how creative the schizophrenics are, where I'm like, dude, what world are you living in where you're coming up with this insane ideas so quickly? Yeah. So and so that went on for like probably 3 to 4 years. And then my grandparents, they were from the Midwest. They lived in North Carolina, but they really didn't know how to deal with it. So there was kind of a lot of denial. Like nobody was really talking about it, as he just was like, you know, becoming worse and worse. Yeah. And I just sort of was like putting up with it, always kind of like talking him down a lot. And he and because it's your dad, you don't know. It's same with your parents getting arrested. Anytime you're in a weird situation, you don't know that that's unusual. Yeah. Because you don't know anything else. Yeah. And then also for like a parent figure, that because you're supposed to trust them. At first I thought, hey, maybe they're fucking with his car. He's right, because they seem so they seem so genuinely into whatever delusion, because they genuinely are experiencing that you, as a kid, you're like, that's probably true. But the moment I realized that he had like lost, that I'm like, oh, you're not on Earth. It was like we were at a grocery store and he was just like, there's a fat dude, and he's like, you see that? They send those people out to make you feel insecure. Like just a random fat dude. Which, Jesus Christ, if the guy heard that, you just wrecked the guy's feeling, you know what I mean? And then he said these beautiful women around. He's like, you see that? They put those out there, like, try to make you cheat on your wife. And, like, all this shit. And that's when it really clicked. I'm like, oh, you're, like, just insane. Like, you're not... Because before I sort of, like, would have... Like, I kind of believed some of the things you say. But that was the moment of, like, okay, Dad's gone. He's left the chat. It's just me, my little brother, my mom now. Like, you're around, but you're not... It's a vacancy sign in your brain, you know? Yeah. So, and that kind of went on for, and then he stole the family car. Like, he put on his work outfit, like he worked at a grocery store, but he apparently like lost his job like a month ago. Yeah. And he got in the car and just like disappeared. And then it was like dinner time, and I was calling him like to ask if he wanted something from like Taco Bell or something. He's like, oh, I'm in Ohio. I'm like, what are you doing in Ohio? He's like, I'm going to Canada. He's going to illegally immigrate to Canada. Well, not only him, but we all are eventually, so that he could work at a anarchist bookshop. Yeah.
Whose bookshop?
So he was like super into politics. He was very like a leftist kind of guy. So he was into like anarchism, like there's no bosses or anything. Okay. Like, you know, there's like really hipstery, like coffee shop. So he wanted to go just work there at in Winnipeg, Canada. And he was like, yeah, we'll sneak under the river, and we'll just illegally live in Winnipeg, Canada, and I'll be like a part-time barista. You know, it's in North Carolina, the AC's broken. We only have the one car that you just stole. And then you're like, yeah, I'm Ohio, I'm good. And he was also like, and I'm sure, you know, it sounds like your parents similar. They just never were even self-aware or like fundamentally unable to be like, oh, I'm hurting other people through my actions. Yeah. Maybe robbing the car and leaving my entire family. Yeah. That might hurt their feelings. Because when he came back, he was just sort of like, yeah, I was just trying to follow my dreams, buddy. Yeah. You know?
So, when did you move to Chicago?
I moved to Chicago when I was 21.
Okay. All right. So you did college?
No. I started, so then when my dad got committed, he afterwards came out and was kind of like, I hate you guys. He was like homeless for like a year. And then, you know, the whole crazy life situation. I was kind of an aimless kid. I was just getting doing a bunch of drugs, getting fucked up for like a year or two. But I always loved comedy. I always loved stand-up.
What got you turned on to comedy?
I just would watch it.
But like something stood out, like a special. What?
Man, I always really just like Jim Gaffigan, Gabriel Iglesias, George Carlin, Louis C.K., just a lot of... And what I loved about it was that when a joke hits like about something, you know, you've been frustrated with or you experience, they just turned it into a joke, and it just felt freeing.
Yeah.
You know, even the slightest of things. Like, I was a fat kid, and just even Jim Gaffigan joking about being fat, it's like, oh, I'm free now.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like really love that about comedy. It's like, oh, if I joke about something that bothers me, it's like, it kind of doesn't mess with me anymore.
Yeah.
And so, I always was like kind of a funny person, and like, that's kind of what I was.
Do you think that was more of like an emotional deflect from?
Yeah, it's a huge
like
coping.
A dumbass question.
Yeah, no, it's like it's good. All I'm trying to do is turn my coping mechanism into a career. That's all comedy is for me. But yeah, that's why because it's like life. A lot of the times, it's just too much to take seriously.
Yeah,
like it's just too much, especially like trauma. So it's like ever since I was young, I would just joke about my life and situations, probably to make myself cope with it. And so around 17, actually, I got dragged to... I was trying to get like life together and make like healthier decisions, and my friend was going to this like atheist church, which sounds like it doesn't make sense, but it was like a community center, kind of a cult thing.
Satanist.
Yeah, no, there was just like a community center full of like annoying atheists, but they still wanted to have like the community of church and like good life lessons or whatever. And I only went the one time, but they had a thing about goals and like, what's a goal you have? And we'll put we'll make a time limit. Who's going to help you do it? Who's going to hold you accountable for it? And I was like, I want to do stand-up comedy. They're like, all right, when do you want to do it? I'm like, we'll do it 2 weeks from now. And they're like, I don't have a car. My friend's like, I'll drive you. And so I gave myself 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I wrote some jokes. He drove me out to this shitty comedy club called LOL that no longer exists, which is in a cornfield. Like, it was like right across in an outlet mall right across the street from a cornfield in rural North Carolina.
Okay.
And I went up first, and I was so nervous my leg was shaking. But every joke I said got a laugh. So I was like, I fucking did it.
Yeah.
Right? And then I went to high school late the next day. I'm like, I'm an artist. I don't need to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like kind of hooked on it. And I just...
How old were you then? 17?
17. I was like close to 18. And I just kind of religiously did it all the time. I met like Maddie Weiner, who's been on Comedy Central now. She's in New York. And like, I started with a bunch of really North Carolina people. We would just drive all over the state, like trying to do it wherever. I worked just a series of shit jobs, like warehouse, call center, waiter.
What warehouse job?
I worked at a place called Micrelease, and I was a miscellaneous task manager. Like, this comedian got me just a job there, and I would just like sweep the floors and like forklift and shit like that.
Oh,
and,
forklift guy.
Yeah, you would think it because I look like I should be like an English teacher. But yeah, and so then I just saved up money, and I moved with like 5 other comedians to Chicago when I was 21 to just take it to the next level, and I've just been here since.
What's the biggest gig you've done?
Biggest gig that I've done. Well, I've like opened for Big J Okerson and like Tim Dillon and other people, but in terms of people,
Tim Dillon.
Yeah. But in terms of,
do you get to like hang out in the green room with him?
Yeah, I've met him like 4 or 5. We went out to dinner and stuff. Yeah. Met him a bunch of times.
That's insane.
Yeah. So that was like before he became as big as he was.
Oh, okay.
But he biggest gig. There was a comedy competition in North Carolina that I made it to the finals of, where I got to perform in front of like 1,000 people. So that's probably the biggest crowd I've ever done. What's
your favorite experience so far?
Favorite experience, man. You know, honestly, whenever someone asks me about that, it's really hard because to be like, there's just so many good shows that I get to do.
Yeah.
Like, I even sound like a brat, but it's like even like the Lincoln Lodge here in Chicago or Laugh Factory, like doing a packed room there is amazing. Like even, you know, smaller venues like T-Heat. Are you all right? Bomb going off?
Yeah, no, I gotta go check on. I'm just playing.
Oh, okay, it's just like it's fucking, you know. But my favorite experience.
Did you do a bunch of like masked up motherfuckers just?
Yeah. It's like the FBI's coming. I mean, whoever's listening to this, check out this office. It is fucking wild. Like this is gonna be part of a documentary in a few years.
We're actually building a bigger one.
This is a wild place.
Yeah. Well, Coke's been doing good.
But probably opening for Big J was probably my favorite. Although the crowds were fucking hot as hell, and that's just the best feeling. Because it's a lot of comedy, and you do stand-up, so it's brutal. You're in dive bars. It's horrible. You know? Everything good?
Yeah.
Yeah, your eyes... Yeah.
If I showed you who... what my main partner looks like, you definitely think we sell drugs.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
This is...
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. You just looks like a Miami Vice episode, dude. Why is everybody he looks like if Pitbull just ate his weight in steroids. It's fucking insanity.
Yeah.
What's going on? I just what can you guys just tell me your fitness plan. Like, how do I look like you guys?
I mean, I don't know what he does. I have a nutritionist.
You have a nutritionist?
Yeah. So I have a nutritionist.
Yeah. Is that the secret?
That's a little bit of the secret. That's not all of it.
Yeah. I run I run like 3 miles a day.
Running is not, like, if you're trying to get big, running's not the...
It's not the move.
No, like, I don't run at all right now. I'm trying to get big right now. So I think
you're already a pretty big guy. What are you trying to do? Become the fucking Hulk?
No.
Yeah.
No. So I'm like, I'm pretty lean, but I'll probably get up to 200. I'm 190 right now, and then I'll cut down to 170, so I'll just be shredded at like 170, 180.
That's so weird. You're just like, your body's a machine.
Yeah, I've not been able to do that without the nutrition.
I just want to get abs. I want to just take my shirt off without apologizing. That's kind of
the easiest way to do it is, you're small right now, is just to put muscle on. So muscle is like an engine. You know what I mean? It's going to burn all the fuel. So it's like, I used to think myself, like the running and then just watch what I'm eating, which, yes, it matters what you're eating, but what really matters is how much muscle you have, because you're not going to run 10 hours a day. You know what I mean? Yeah. But your body is going to operate 24 hours a day. So if you've got a bunch of muscle, it's just going to burn fat all day long. So you can eat whatever you want.
Okay, so just
to an extent, you can eat
just
whatever
get
you
jacked,
want.
and then it's like that'll take care.
Yeah, but it's hard.
Step one, get jacked.
Yeah,
and then it just takes care of itself.
Get lean and then build muscle.
See, I feel like I'm pretty. It's just right here. It's like got some fat just chilling.
Yeah, the biggest things. Well, one, I think everybody should do blood work. I think semi-annually, quarterly, you should go get you should go do blood work through your doctor or whatever, and just get all your levels checked, like your endocrine system. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like,
and
your hormones.
Oh, man, see, I didn't have healthcare for so long. Now I do, but I'm like, I didn't even realize. You know, I never even think about shit.
And you don't want to ask like some doctor that looks like retarded or something.
Yeah,
you know
So
you want to like ask somebody that's
so you just say, I want my blood work done.
Somewhat. Like I work with a company, and I go quarterly and get my blood work done. And if there's something off, they'll send me a vitamin or something. You know what I mean? And it's all connected with doctors. So like, I don't do any like street juice. I don't drink. I'll smoke cigars. I'll smoke a little bit, but I don't do.
Is that just like complete health reason? Because you don't want to get. Or...
Yeah. Well, one, my dad. I think it's probably more of like the.
Oh right.
Alcohol probably tastes way worse to me, maybe than the average human, because I'm
because your dad was an alcoholic. Yeah, that'll ruin it for you.
Yeah.
When you see. It's weird because I've been around a lot of. I was like in an abusive relationship with an alcoholic, but I still love drinking. I don't know what it is.
I like Moscato.
You look white wine. That's adorable, man.
Yeah, that's
Scott. You look.
I like look around.
I like Moscato. There's a Scarface thing behind your head. I like Moscato.
I'll get a Moscato or a strawberry daiquiri. People are like
drinking the strawberry daiquiri with the Scarface.
People are like,
that's
what the fuck
wild.
is going on? Like, they're definitely it's that gay cult coming around. And I was like, nah. I just want a strawberry. I got a sweet tooth, so I like the daiquiris or very rarely I'll do that, but.
Oh yeah. Well, what about your own upbringing inspired you to live the life the way you're living it?
So I think even though I think there's a lot of blessings in trauma as well. For sure. You know what I mean? So it's like my dad, I used to blame him for just being so nuts growing up, but as I got older, I started to I read a lot of Stoicism. You know what I mean? Stoicism. I think I'm saying that right. Stoicism.
Yeah, I think that.
Right.
I know what you're saying. So
I read a lot of philosophical just perspective and certain things like that, and how to readjust your perspective on life, and just I'm really fascinated with that. So as I got older, I started to ask myself not what was wrong with him, but more of what all occurred to help create who he was and is, and the blame went from him to his parents, and then I was like, well, what made them? And then it was it went to their parents. It was I can't blame anybody now.
The trauma cycle. Well, it's a lot of it is just things just happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is no, and I think that's tough, especially in these situations, because you want closure.
Yeah.
It sounds like you never really got any from your dad. I'm never gonna get it.
No, my dad's going back to jail, so I've not really ever talked to him, and then I'm pretty sure he's gonna get life now. So my dad is a compulsive liar, also. Yeah. / It's funny, you know what I mean? Because I'm I own a company, I'm in sales, but he's big into white collar crime, fraud and things like that. Yeah.
So he's going life for white collar crime.
Yeah, so I'll show because I'm really cool about it. I don't care. I was actually reading the article, but That's my dad. And then if you look at the first paragraph, it's $43 million that he just recently. So they gave him 5.5 years for.
Wait, so he just
mill.
What do you do? Embezzle $5 million?
It's basically from my understanding on because I've talked to him a few times. You know what I mean? Out of my life, out of my whole 23 years, we've probably had a solid 2 or 3 years of like consistent communication. Yeah. Which I know doesn't sound like much, but
no, it does when you have a very tumultuous relationship with your dad.
Exactly.
2 to 3 years is pretty big.
Yeah. So, from my perspective and understanding, it was more of just like he had good ideas, and then he would convince investors, like a startup. He would convince the investors to invest, but not really like document it properly, and then, with that lack of documentation, just there was no proof of funding back, you know what I mean? So paying back and things like that. So it'd be like, hey, I'm going to go get these properties and flip these properties, or I've got this company I'm going to start up. Like he started a restaurant. And then I just don't know if it's like, just because I'm from Arkansas, so I don't know if it's like, I agree and understand like the handshake deals, but once you start moving around big money, it's like
it needs to be pretty.
Yeah.
It's also that leaves wiggle room for some sketchiness.
Yeah.
Because you can be like, oh, I don't know where that $20,000.
I don't know where it went. So I think really when I think of lessons and just the upbringing and how the influence to where I'm at today, I think really the way I'm in, because he really didn't accept like anything less than like number one. Like if I didn't win whatever, I had to win everything. Everything was a race. Everything was a competition.
It seems to be an unhealthy mindset, but that can be beneficial. But it's also, you don't want to be so hard on yourself that you are so miserable you can't.
So I'm very careful when I try to coach people to that, because it's helped me a lot in life. But I also see how it can hurt people a lot, because what I've seen with people that have the unhealthy is it'll lead to disorders of just through certain insecurities of like.
I've had that.
Yeah, well, you go through an eating disorder. Yeah. You can go through just a disorder of almost like social disorder, where you just don't want to go and communicate with certain people.
I've had that with stand-up, where I was so hard on myself that even if like a tag or a part of a joke didn't work, but the set was good, I'd be like, that's all shit.
Yeah.
And I'd be like very upset.
Yeah.
And it was like, but it made it so that I was actually worse at stand-up, because I was so.
You get so in your head.
So dead set on this going well that I was like more nervous on stage.
Yeah.
So this is when I first moved to Chicago, and I think that was just me putting so much pressure on myself.
Yep.
So now it's like, for me, I have to like work hard and like push myself at goals, but I also give myself like I'm a human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, if that didn't go well, I'm still a person.
Yeah.
Even if I bomb at this show on a Tuesday to die bar.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still a worthwhile human being. You know what I mean? But when I was 21, I didn't think that way.
That's what I love studying about the Stoics, because when you break down like, what's success in life, it's really just being a good human being.
Yeah, I think
and you're a human at the end of the day.
Well, it's like for both of us, right? It's like I've already won.
I was just telling somebody that.
Like it's like, okay, like even like, obviously I want to be like do comedy full time, want the Netflix special, all these things, but it's like thinking about where I didn't really have a day. I lived through all this intense trauma, other great like drug addiction, these intense things, and it's like the fact that I'm not dead. Yeah, that's already a one. And I have like a good job. I get to do what I love. I have great friends.
You're alive.
I'm alive. I like can help my family and stuff. And I'm like, I'm healthy. I'm like, that's winning. That is a huge W.
I got a call from my best friend a couple weeks ago. And with my mom going to jail for a year, 2 years, it like messed up her life as well. And she raised us. So she wasn't able to get like a real job, essentially. She had to work like 3 jobs.
Right, yeah.
Still wasn't enough to make ends meet. She did her best. I love my mom. We're best friends. But basically, my best friend called me, and I mentioned my mom working so much because I was at his house all the time. So his mom essentially raised us. Definitely raised him, raised me too on the side. And he just basically called me, texted me out the blue one day, and we're young. You know what I mean? So I imagine your mom's in her 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So same with his mom, and he's like, can't believe this happened. And I was like, what, is everything okay? And he's like, well, my mom just passed away, and it was just like some standard operation, and it was just like, but I think of that, and I'm like, you never know when it's going to be your last day. You have to just be so considerate. I think that's where I like about the affirmations. I use the affirmations when I wake up, affirm positivity, because I want to just start my day with positivity and gratitude, because I know if I can put that lens on for the day,
you're good.
The whole day's cool. I don't care if we lose all the money, all the business explodes, whatever the fuck happens.
Ultimately, your life is the only thing that matters.
That's all. It's all you have.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really pray over is I converse, with this other dude. We just bullshit about philosophy, Stoics, all this shit, and it's like The only thing that we really have control over is our mind. And just praying we never lose control over that.
Yeah, that's
because that would be the scariest thing in the world.
I would rather get cancer than have like psychosis.
Yeah, lose control.
Because I'd rather have like if you lose your soul, you're done.
Yeah, well, that's why my buddy did ayahuasca, and I've never really gotten into like the psychological drugs whatsoever. Been extremely interested in psilocybin. But I've never gotten into the...
I've tripped on acid and mushrooms a lot in my early life. I did have some pretty beneficial experiences, but I will say you have to be in a very good place mentally.
Well, I would say that, and I would want to just know, like, I mean, they killed Mac Miller. You know what I mean? I know it's different drugs, but dude,
right?
Like,
yeah, you'd have to get it from like mushrooms. You can't. It's not like you can't lace mushrooms from fucking ground. So that's probably the safest bet there. But it's like, if you just take a small, it could really, I don't know. It's just something. I think that drug specifically, like your perspective, it's like fog on a lens.
Yeah.
Like the way you view life. And I think those drugs, they've wiped that fog off. Like you thinking about things like almost like the first time you ever thought of them.
Now, do you know anybody that's done ayahuasca?
No. I actually know people that have done DMT. But I think it's like, but also I wouldn't do that because again, I'm prone to the mental. So I don't go. I'm not going to do anything that intense because I don't want to.
I feel like I'm a hypochondriac. I'm like, I probably have that shit too because I feel like a psychopath. You know, but I feel like everybody talks to himself. You know what I mean? Like the main person I talk to is me, like out loud, just crazy.
I do that too, but it's like
I threaten to fight myself once a day.
Well, that's probably something there. You should probably talk to somebody about. That's a little weird. But like it's a little bizarre. But like it's just honestly the biggest read on that is if you're still functional. So if you just like talk to yourself like you're thinking out loud, what you're gonna do, that's normal. But like if you're walking down the street having a full on conversation, people and things aren't there, that's maybe talk to somebody. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's also like you have this podcast studio. You're a very functional like it's mainly when you can't function anymore. Yeah, that's how we know there's a problem.
Yeah,
a
lot of inconsistency in the conspiracy of like everything's against you.
Yeah, well, you just literally you won't be able to operate as a person. Yeah, because I mean you'll be so psychotic you're gonna steal a car and drive to Canada. Like you won't be able to. You're just so caught. You're like over. It's like kind of being permanently stuck in like a bad trip. Yeah, like you're on drugs or something.
Now that's what worries me is those permanent trips, essentially. You know what I mean? Like where something just dislodges or something, and you're just stuck.
Yeah, if you're prone to any sort of mental illness, you shouldn't be. That's why I don't take them anymore, and I feel like I've gotten all I can from those, and I'd rather like I'm in therapy, I work out, and I'm like those give me the same sort of introspective and good feeling that I would get from those drugs. Like there's like a quote from like forget the name, but he's like, when you get the message, hang up the phone. So it's mainly about psychedelics. Like it's like, hey, when you learn your lesson, just chill. Yeah, you don't need it.
I like that
because it's for a lot of younger people, they use it as more of like a party thing. Which like if you want to have fun, have fun. But for me, it's like if I'm gonna, I can't lie to myself and be like I'm taking this to find who I am because I'm like I feel like I've realized everything I can from those things. Yeah. And I'd rather just implement it day to day, like in my lifestyle.
Are you so close with your mom?
Yeah, I'm very close to my mom.
Does she stay in North Carolina?
She does. Yeah.
What about your little brother?
A little brother. Yeah, he's in school.
High school?
He's in college.
College? Yeah. What's he going to school for?
ASL translating.
What is that?
American Sign Language translating.
Oh, okay.
I forget not everyone knows that acronym. Yeah. So, he started to do it. He does music, too. It's just a cool...
What instrument? Or...
It's like, it's kind of like lo-fi. Kind of like
Dude, hip-hop. I've been listening like lo-fi songs.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. It's kind of like Still Woozy sort of style. Yeah.
That's dope. So, how did he handle everything?
I think because I was older, I bared a lot more of the brunt of it. But he was like, I think he was a little less extreme than me, but it definitely, fucked him up and affected him in some way. I think that's why he also has like the music. I think is his creative outlet. You know what I mean? He never. I don't think. I mean, we were getting fucked up together as like teenagers and stuff, but I think he ultimately had a little bit of a cooler head on his shoulders, maybe because I was dealing with things more. Yeah. But it's still, stuff like that. That's just gonna affect every aspect of your life, you know what I mean? Like especially for me, like in relationships, like you don't know how to have a healthy relationship with somebody. Like if you're a kid and you basically learn, okay, this is what love is. My needs don't matter. I just cater to somebody else, and fundamentally, like it's gonna fuck you up. Where you're gonna be attracted to unhealthy people. Yeah, you're gonna be attracted to unhealthy situations because that's familiar to you. That's what is home. And then also that's my big problem. Like, I don't stand up for myself because. Like on some level, I've been taught to be like, just take care of that person, do whatever they want out of like fear, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like that'll fuck you up in a relationship where it's like, well, who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's like like a doormat, basically?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah. Facts. So, how long have you been doing comedy now? For 7, 8 years?
6 kind of minus COVID. I didn't do it for like a year.
Okay.
Because of COVID. Yeah.
Was that year harder on you?
That was pretty rough.
I feel like it was hard. That's a stupid question too. It's like, who
was having
COVID?
fun? Yeah, it was
COVID.
Like, this is
locked up.
That was not a good year. No, so my grandfather died, and he helped my. It's all good, He helped like my mom. But so my mom lost her house. I had to get my mom a new house. I had to my dad was living with my grandparents. So I had to kind of figure out a lot of very intense things within 2 weeks. It was like COVID happened, grandfather's dead, mom's losing the house, like 2 weeks. And I just dealt with all that. And then I was just back in North Carolina, like working from home, my job, drinking every day, and just dealing with it. It was like life just transformed like that. So that was very rough, for everybody. But that year was, especially for me,
I was in Lincoln, Nebraska when it hit, and nobody took it serious ever.
Not even when like it legally closed down?
No, they didn't close down.
Really? I thought it was like a nationwide thing.
No, not there.
Really?
That was Lincoln, Nebraska is like the West. I was like the one black person that's like not really black.
Yeah. I feel that too. Just sometimes I walk into a small town, I'm like, I know this place is fucked up when I'm diversity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they're just like, oh, Jew, Armenian, Arab, whatever we want them to be,
Yeah. Dude. So I was like, yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, no. In North Carolina, they cared kind of. So it was wild.
Did they can switch or something? I don't follow politics, but didn't they?
They have
switch to blue
They have
or red
a Democratic government. It's like a purple state, so it's like it's not necessarily red or it's a swing state. It's like they voted for Obama twice over there. So it's like especially the Raleigh area. It's like 3 big colleges there. That's a pretty progressive area.
I could see that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
they got that big party school. What's
there's
that?
a bunch of them. They got
Coastal Carolina. Carolina.
Yeah, ECU is like you get a degree in Xanax over there.
Yeah.
Everyone I know that goes to ECU, their stories are not going good.
Yeah.
It's just getting fucked up for 4 years. I'm like,
Jesus.
I didn't go to college because I was just like chasing stand up and stuff, and part of me is just like
I've been chasing the cult life.
You've been chasing the cult, but I'm also like I make good money during.
Hey,
the day.
Yeah, it's worked out for me.
I'm like where I'm like, okay, what. Did I need to go in debt to get a drinking problem? I could just get a drinking problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where I'm
that's what I tell people. Is like, that's an expensive party.
And I'm like, everyone's like, imagine owing like $60,000.
But I don't beat up people at the same time. Like I had my knee operated on in December, and I'm like, I wouldn't just have Joe Schmo from the fucking corner cut my knee open.
No,
so it's like people are like, you're just in sales in that cult. You just want everybody to come work for you. And I'm like, yes. But no, I was like, we need doctors.
No, yeah, I think if you have a plan, like I'm going to go to college to become this, that's good. But when people are like, I don't know what I want, and I'm like, well, then don't go into life-ruining debt.
I don't know what I want. Purchase.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into like
that. Doesn't make any sense to me either. Is like you can go to school and just immerse yourself in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, but you can't get a car, you know what I mean, without a cosigner, or you couldn't take a loan out and start a business.
They fuck with you. Like, say, like, it's hard for me to get like a personal loan. Like, they're so stingy about that. But it's like, yeah, like, oh yeah, you can just go and like ruin your life if you're not careful,
dude. And I saw something. It was kind of conflicting. It made me think, and it was like the Student Loan Forgiveness Act or something. It's like we're just gonna let them not have to pay or something like that. And it was like, but it was like we have the Student Loan Forgiveness Act, but which school is a choice, but cancer isn't. Why don't we forgive people?
Well, yeah,
like medical, like you're talking about.
No, there should be there should be universal health care.
Yeah, it's like
completely immoral that we do. It's like one of the most I think like as immoral as it gets. That I can't believe, and no sane person could be like, oh yeah, if you can't afford treatment, you should just be dead.
Yeah, you should die.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's what in my life all credit, my credit's bad. Every financial issue I had is because I didn't have health care. Like, I got into a car accident, I was 19, I had to go to the emergency room, and I just owed them, like, $5,000.
Yeah.
Just didn't pay it, didn't have the money. And
dude, it's like you look at the hospital, and they're like, yeah, that'll be $1,000.
You literally, if you walk into an emergency room for, like, with no insurance, it's going to be $1,000.
I hear an ambulance is, like, about 10-plus bands or something.
Yep. It's pretty fuck you up, dude. So, it's like, even with my current job right now, if I lose this job, I wouldn't be able to, I like take like medication for sleep and shit like that. Oh, well, I can't do that anymore. It's hundreds of dollars now. So it's like, so that goes to the original conversation.
That'll fuck you up too, is not being able to sleep. Like the long term, really the short term, long term. However,
a day or two is terrible.
Yeah,
so I've struggled with like insomnia and shit. So it's good that I have like meds for it now. But it's like, yeah, if I don't have the money, I wouldn't be able to function to do this. And I think that's fundamentally insane and cruel, and no functional society should operate like that.
I had a comedian on yesterday, and we were talking about this. He's a pharmaceutical comedian. His name's Doctor of Comedy, Maurice Shaw.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Interesting guy. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, Chicago has 1 million people.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 million people in the metropolitan area.
Is that true?
10 million people. Aiden,
we look at the producer like, he's just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Hayden, Mini Jamie.
Yeah. You really Jamie'd him, dude.
Yeah.
That is insane. But yeah, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Because I'm thinking to myself, like, insulin and diabetes, and it's like, nobody like just signs up. Yeah, all right, maybe the people that overeat, but like for schizophrenia, it's like nobody
signs up to get cancer.
Yeah, it's like,
no one signs up to have.
I think I want cancer next month to ruin my whole life.
Yeah, no, it's like, I got this joke about whenever people are like, they complain about Canada system, they're like, oh, you wait in lines forever over there. I'm like, yeah, but you know what you get at the end of those lines? Fucking healthcare. Like, that's like the best deal ever. I'd camp out for it in an instant. You know what I mean? Like, first 3 people in line get to meet your grandkids one day.
Speaking of your jokes, I was looking at some of your jokes too, and I like the gun control, and it's like, it's on social media. So you do it because I will fuck it up.
Well, I was basically saying that I figured gun control out. Like if you post on Reddit more than once a day, you're not allowed to buy a gun, right? You're not allowed to buy. And if you don't know what Reddit is, you should get 2 guns, right? You just keep doing it. And that's why I could never understand why we couldn't stop more of these mass shootings, because they're all done by nerds.
Yes.
Like those are the easiest people to stop. Like we should just make the safety on every gun a bra strap. That's what we should do,
Or the one question.
And just make the background check. One question: did you go to prom? Like, is it like you should own a gun? You're cool. You're not gonna shoot up a school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, maybe someone a little more nerdy looking. Done.
Dude, I don't know who sent it to me. Somebody sent me this TikTok. You post them on TikTok too, right?
Yeah.
Bro, somebody sent me this comedian. I don't know who it was, but they had this bit, and I don't know. It's on TikTok, so I feel like I'm not ruining it. But it was like, they were on with like some radio show host, and it was like they're featuring. They're like, all right, we're gonna let you, tell this lady she won these tickets on a radio show, whatever, blah blah blah. And I don't know if it was completely staged. And he was like, hey, welcome to 93.7. Just letting you know, Tiffany, your kid's school was just carpet bombed.
Oh my god.
This lady starts screaming. She's like, ah! And I'm like, I don't know if this was staged. If it was, this is phenomenal. This is absolutely hilarious.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, but the social media, it's a pretty good tool for comics.
It's so needed for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should. I think people should care less about what people think, and just fucking go on there. And not I think social media can be deadly for the individuals that like myself, where you have that. If you don't know how to balance it, but if you have that ultra competitive mindset, which
I just use it as a tool. I'm not even there fucking with, I'm like, I post
this
video,
people will.
Fuck
I think people they'll either take the comments too seriously, or they'll believe every 14-year-old with a Lamborghini has a Lamborghini.
Yeah. Well, you can't take that, especially if you're doing comedy. It's like, dude, I've had horrible you know what I mean? Because people on the internet, they there's a screen between you, so people can really shit on it, and you're like, but I'm also like, okay, I'm not gonna be liked by everybody. Yeah. There's also 10 comments that are like, this guy's hilarious, so you're like, who gives a fuck?
Oh, that's the best, dude. Like all my TikToks.
Yeah.
That's the best. So, now, I want to connect the details. When did your dad get committed?
So that wasn't until years later. So, like, basically in, like, 5th grade is kind of around when it started. But he wasn't committed until I was, like, in 9th grade.
And then how long did he stay in?
Only, like, a week and a half. Because that's all they're going to do. And it was, like, basically, like... So, and I basically had to, like, convince my grandparents to do it. And it was kind of a thing where, like, he like kind of like ran off the day before, but then he came back to my grandparents' house, and like, they had 4 cop cars came, and they just kind of politely asked to them, because you could commit someone against their will if you think they're a threat to themselves or somebody else. Right? Yeah. So then my grandpa had to go like sign that at a court.
Committed, we mean like 302.
Like a cop is gonna take them and put them into, they call it like a evaluation thing for 72 hours. They kind of talk to you, see what's up.
Yeah.
And obviously they talk to him like, all right, this guy's a little nutty.
Yeah.
And so he was there for like a week and a half, because for the most part these facilities are very underfunded. They don't have a lot of like resource stuff like that. So if you're not an immediate threat, basically what they did is they just meted him up, give him a script, and be like, hey, go to this therapist every week. But there's no accountability. You don't have to do. It's not like they're gonna arrest you if you don't do these things. He didn't commit any kind of crime. So he just threw those pills in a trash can, was pissed at my family, and just like was homeless for like a year. He just like disappeared, and then he just like reappeared later. Is
he reappeared or disappeared right now?
Oh yeah, I know. He lives with some roommates in Durham.
And then you guys.
We talk. It's kind of like an ex that you're cordial with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of more like, all right, yeah, we're cool, but we're not.
Is he doing better?
He's doing better, but I part of that it's also like I don't talk to him that much, so I don't know.
Yeah.
He like delivers Uber Eats and like he lives with functional. He's probably doing the best since the whole thing happened because he pays his rent. He has like a little bit of a job, but he's also I don't necessarily know how much medication he's taking or something, so he's also like a little off,
Yeah. Now, did your mom still talk to him?
I mean, he'll like some because he visits like my little brother and stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
So now, what about your vision? You know what I mean? Like, what's your
so again, I'm just trying to do comedy full time through like podcasting and stand up. Like I'm always around.
What's your podcast like? What's it about?
I have a podcast called Fuck You Dad that's about actually you want to come on sometime talk about your dad.
Yeah.
Feel free. But it's filmed at the Lincoln Lodge. We basically talk to people about crazy dad stories. We've had Mark Norman on, we've had Dan Soder on.
Yeah, dude, I got some crazy ass dad stories.
Yeah, so we just talk to people about crazy dad stories. And it's just sort of like I just just try to make a living through stand up and podcasting, and it's like, ground like I go out, headline shows in like Iowa City, Lincoln, shit like that, like go over there and do wherever I can. And so that's pretty much, it's like I'm little by little making more money, be able to do more time on stage, and it's like pretty much just taking that to the next level, like wanting to move to New York.
Yeah,
and just
it seems like 80% of the comedians I talk to is like New York.
It's kind of the stand-up mecca. It's just where a lot of
Chicago's huge as shit, though.
Chicago is huge, but I'm saying like you can, like my friend Maddie, she's booked on like 3 shows a night to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you can it's just Chicago's big, and with the internet you could theoretically make it anywhere. It's just you'll see people that are like the same level of you, same talent wise, but they're on Conan just because they're near those things.
Who you know and who knows you.
Right. So it's just sort of like a lot of people in Chicago, even though they're hilarious and you're doing good shows, you're still like technically nobody, and they like you don't have a following, you can't like sell tickets, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like I think a lot of people because if you're at the top of New York or LA, you will have a career. You will have and then with that's how you could sell tickets on the road. As a comedian, it's mainly just about how can I build a following to get people to come out to see me. That's it.
Now, are all comedians like immediately 2 or 3 points better on the dating scale because Pete Davidson got with Kim?
I mean, maybe with that. I feel like in my life personally, I've always been able to swig way out of my league whenever comedies like on the apps. Women are like, yeah, whatever. But if you see them at a show, they're like, oh, this is fucking. Especially if you're like kind of decent looking as well. Like, because it's one of the most confident peacock dances you could do. You went on stage. Yeah. You're funny. You're confident. You're like, oh, that's what are you gonna do? Well, any guy I just beat in competition. You know what I mean? What do? You just
I feel like if I was
own
a comedian,
boat?
I'd be like, yeah, you saw Pete's with, or you saw Kim's with Pete. She knows what's up. So.
Yeah, it was kind of a hero. It was like him like planning like first steps on the moon. Like he fucked her for all of us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Every comedian, So yeah, listen, every sad boy comic, get some tattoos, just do it.
Yeah, dude, that was hilarious. Especially with Kanye coming back.
That's insanity. That like, can you imagine Kanye West like threatening to fight you on the internet?
Yeah.
Because Pete Davidson's already insane. He has like a lot of mental health issues. Yeah. So it's like,
I wonder what his story is.
Yeah, honestly, I hear his story and I'm like, that ain't shit. Because it's like, your dad died, and I'm sorry, but your dad. There's probably points in your life where you wish your dad was dead. Oh, yeah. Right? Like, you had to be traumatized with your father. It's like your dad died when you were young and you were raised by a single mom and you had, like, a tumultuous life or whatever. But it's also like, I don't know. To me, that kind of sounds like not hard.
If it's real young, it's almost like it don't. Like,
didn't even happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Because I feel like my life didn't really start until I was like 7. You know what I mean? Like my
memory
started at like 7.
I don't even 7. Like 8, 9. I don't even know.
Yeah,
it's all,
like
especially with trauma. It fucks with your memory.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
You have like dual memories.
Yeah, with and I didn't even realize that till I was in therapy. And she's like, "What about this age?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking remember." And you're like, "Yeah, that's trauma." And I'm like, "Oh." Because it's just a fog. Like these stories I'm talking to you about my dad. One from like 5th grade, and then we're talking about another story from like 9th grade. I'm like, oh, there's just 3-4 years that are very foggy.
Yes.
And that's because it's so intense that your brain's like, we can't.
Yeah, we can't process
save
that.
these. You know, we're overloaded, dude.
Yeah, fuck no.
Yeah.
So what are your hobbies outside of working?
I like I like running. I work it out. I practice Spanish. I think it's kind of, I don't know, just helps me connect to my family. I think it's a fun thing. There you go. It's a good starter one, you know? Yep. You can order. I think that kind of helps me out. And then mainly just, you know, I like watching TV, just like hanging out with friends and shit like that.
Any movies or shows that you really like?
I mean, it's kind of but I love like Breaking Bad and like Better Call Saul. Those are probably some of my favorite shit. I think it's just a well-written, great drama that's also funny.
I don't think I've gotten into them, but I feel like
you've never seen Breaking Bad. You would love Breaking Bad. You got the Scarface behind you, but Breaking Bad is one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah,
it's you know, it's about like a beaten down fucking chemistry teacher. He was almost like the head of this company, but he left it, starts his family. No one in his life respects him. He's just in this bullshit marriage. He gets cancer, and then as a way to support his family, he starts like cooking meth with one of his former classmates. But then he kind of gets high off like the power of like selling drugs. He slowly becomes like a scar. Literally, it's like a nerdy white dad, but slowly becoming like a Scarface figure.
I gotta be careful.
And it's fucking great. It's a great show, dude.
When I watch these power movies, it probably does it for everybody, but I really like inhabit the movie.
Well, the reason I think mafia movies and like crime movies are so
honestly
popular,
probably every movie.
We all live vicariously through, especially because a lot of people in their lives, they don't feel like they have agency. They're like, they go to an office, boss shits all over them, they feel like powerless. And there's something about like the Scarface guy, he doesn't take shit from anybody. That's like true power, like Sopranos or whatever. That person is in charge of their life. Nobody is fucking with it. And so I think that's why people kind of get off on. That's like such a crazy feeling, especially men.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Because it's like there's like that's probably the most alpha thing a human could be.
Yeah, is
so like, and if you feel sort of powerless or feel like you're not there, that's you know.
Now, what about food?
Any food?
Yeah.
Do you I like
you
food?
Eat it? Yeah. No,
yeah, it's like it's the base. I'm like, do you interview people a lot? You like food or whatever? Like, geez, great question. I love food, man.
No, like favorite restaurants or anything like that?
Favorite restaurants, like in Chicago. I went to this place called Bar Sienna the other day, which is pretty nice. It's a pretty fancy place. But I love food from all. I like Indian food. I like a lot of Latino food, like Puerto Rican, Mexican, Salvadorian food. I like fried anything. You know, I just fucking I was fat as a kid. I love food. I never understand when people are like, "Oh, I don't." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I got a fucked up sweet tooth,
and I'm more of a salt guy.
I could do both. I'll mix them.
There we go. I love that because I'm more of a fried, especially the South. Like, just give me some like shitty bar food. Peak.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Have you traveled any cool places?
Yeah, I've been to like I went to the trip with my grandparents to like Europe when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I went to like Spain. I went to the Rock of Gibraltar, which is this island off of Spain where they have.
I talked to this girl from Spain. I loved
Spain. Is wild. Spain's it's super fun.
Spain
it feels like first off the sun doesn't set till like 11. And then people just fucking they take like a nap in the middle of the day.
She told me
and they're
like,
just out till like 9. They like party.
From her explanation, she said Spain is like the high class Mexican.
Well, I mean that's kind of a racist.
Yeah, she definitely made it seem kind of racist.
Yeah,
she like talked down on all other.
They're pretty racist. Yeah.
She was like, "We're the best out of all the Latinos."
Well, first off, they speak Spanish like they're dumb. They have like they sound like British English sounds cool.
Yeah.
That is not. They have like a lisp when they talk.
Yeah, she would always make because I try to speak a little bit of Spanish.
No, they have like a lisp. They go like Mendoza, and it's like you sound sick.
Yeah.
You sound like you have a condition.
Yeah.
You don't sound cool. You sound hilarious. It's embarrassing.
I can barely dissect like the difference.
It's like basically like they're like if you really listen to a lot of Spanish, they sound like they have a lisp.
Yeah.
Like they all sound like a nerdy guy with a lisp.
Will you ever do any Spanish shows?
Spanish is it. I think with comedy, you have to be very good with your words. And I don't. My Spanish is like I could have like a decent conversation with somebody, but I would love to get to a point where I could perform in Spanish. But I would.
Would that potentially like double your money?
If you do both more opportunities.
Now, does Iglesias? He can do both. Right?
Yeah, I think he does, but I think he probably mainly performs in English. Yeah, but I think he has done shows in Mexico and stuff like that.
So, you have any favorite books?
Favorite books? Man, I'm blanking on it right now, but I love People's History by Howard Zinn. It's a good book about the United States and just kind of the dark truth of everything.
Do you think it's the real truth?
Well, I mean, it just literally is,
But what if it isn't?
I mean, it's basically just talking about like slavery and shit, and like the genocide of the American Bear. It's not a conspiracy.
What do you think about people that don't believe in like major historical events?
That you're kind of just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they have like a mental issue? Like people
well, sane people can believe in crazy like
people that denounce like the Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean you're just like a bigot who's been talked into it crazy. Because what motivation do you have to not believe in the Holocaust?
Or like 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, like that happened. Like, now you can talk to thousands of people in New York.
Or more of the conspiracy of like 9/11 was.
I grew up believing 9/11 was an inside job because my dad was heavy into conspiracy, and he would play like 9/11 shit when I was like a little kid.
Yeah, so you were indoctrinated with it.
It seeped into my brain, dude. I was like watching that, like it was like real. I remember I had like we had this thing called a sharing stick at elementary school. And Fridays, and other kids would get it. They'd be like, Baskin Robbins is awesome and shit. I was talking about Tower 7. Like, now there's this thing called Tower 7 that's up like a block away from the Twin Towers that collapsed at the same time.
Yeah.
So the big conspiracy is that there was something in there that they wanted to hide. They blew it up. So I was like talking about how 9/11 was an inside job. It's like a kid.
Yeah.
And it's here because it's just, I believed it until I was a lot older, and I was like, oh, I looked into some other information. I'm like, nah, probably just happened.
I like to, and it's kind of fucked up, but I like to like airdrop like crazy pictures when I'm in like big crowds, just to fuck with people.
Okay.
And thank God I switched it up. But I was at the airport recently, and it's going to a company event, and I'm an owner. It's like a franchise, so our company's like State Farm. You know what I mean? Damn. So like you can go own your own State Farm. So I'm an owner, so there's a lot more light on me, and we're going to this event, and I'm at the gate, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm bored. It's fucking 6 a.m. Let me just send a picture. You know what I mean? Airdrop, see if anyone, just to laugh. People's reactions.
Where do you send? Who do you send it to?
You just airdrop, and it just populates all these, like anybody. Oh,
I didn't know that you could just send random photos.
You can just send you can just airdrop, and anybody that has their airdrop on, it'll say receive.
That's hilarious.
And so I love doing this. And my first thought was like, I'm gonna look up the Twin Towers.
You're gonna airdrop photos of not.
I don't know if I should even be saying this.
That's pretty bold. It's 6 in the morning. Just airdrop photos of 9/11.
No, I can't do. I was like,
that's pretty crazy.
The humor's too dark, and I'm like, it's almost like the N-word. Like only black people can say it. So I feel like there's certain jokes that I feel like you have to have like the card. You know, you have to have the comedy card.
You gotta be a legit comedian from New York or something to be joking about 9/11.
So I was like, not gonna do that. So instead, I looked up a picture of like O Block, and it's like O Block, and it has like the address and a phone number, and I like crop it so it looks like a contact. It's
my god!
And I airdrop it, and I get an immediate text back from one of like the high up union. So we're a unionized life insurance company. Makes this even more of a legitimate scam.
Yeah.
So I get an immediate text with the picture and a bunch of question marks. This lady's been in this company for 40 years.
Oh my god.
Hi, she's like, what is this? And I immediately text back. It's like, sorry, my little sister had my phone.
Oh my god.
My sister works
for
me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it was like, I was like, I gotta slow down on the airdrop.
Yeah, we gotta.
What are the odds?
It's absolutely
6 a.m. flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody in the company's there, and I'm like, what? Chicago.
Wild.
Huge ass airport. So, dude, that's all I got, man. It's an hour in.
Yeah, dude.
We ripped a lot.
Good cast.
Yeah. Shout out your shit. Shout out.
Yeah. Follow me on at Kenyon Comedy on Instagram, on TikTok. Fuck You Dad podcast. New episodes every Monday. We're available anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I perform all over. Check me out.
Do you have any new shows coming up that you're gonna be doing?
I am going to be at the Lincoln Lodge next. They gonna be.
We don't drop that fast. Never mind.
Okay, well, never mind. Well, you can go to my Instagram. I'm posting where I'm at all the time. I got new clips every week.
We're gonna work up to it. We got like we record far out.
No, that's what's smart.
Yeah, because we're not like Rogan or bigger podcasts. No, that's smart. Yeah. That's
I'll
like run out of guess. So I keep a big database.
No, that's smart. Yeah.
So it was dope having you on, bro. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.